show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Megyn Kelly. Roseanne Barr cannot seem to stay off Twitter, or out of the headlines for that matter. And now this morning there is a new development. As you may know, it all began with her posting a racist tweet about former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett. Just hours later, ABC canceled her hit show, the #1 show on ABC. But the tweets and the controversy are far from over. And today's West Coast anchor, Natalie Morales, has all the twists and turns this morning, including Roseanne's ex-husband, Tom Arnold, speaking to us.
Where'd all the real men go?
They're hiding for all the real women.
It comes as Roseanne Barr's real-life drama now playing out on Twitter. I'm not a racist. I never was, and I never will be. One stupid joke in a lifetime of fighting for civil rights for all minorities. Later adding, you guys make me feel like fighting back. President Trump weighing in, reacting to this.
Bob Iger, who's the CEO of Disney, called me before the announcement. He apologized.
The president took to Twitter to air grievances over his perceived attacks from ABC, pointing out Iger never called him to apologize for the horrible statements made and said about him on ABC. Maybe I just didn't get the call. The White House clarifying the president was simply calling out media bias.
No one's defending what she said.
But there are others standing up for the disgraced star. Comedian Jimmy Kimmel, no stranger to his own politically charged public battles, calling Barr's words indefensible, but angrily attacking a woman who is obviously not well does no good for anyone. Please take a breath and remember that mental health issues are real. His message retweeted by Barr's estranged ex-husband, Tom Arnold.
I knew it was going to happen. I'm sorry, but this was just 100% it was going to happen. Look at Roseanne's social media right in this moment. She's doubled and tripled down. Somebody needs to stop it right now.
Barr has spoken publicly about her battle with bipolar disorder and mental illness and wrote in 2011 that behind-the-scenes drama during the first season of Roseanne caused her first nervous breakdown. In one now deleted tweet, Barr said she wrote about Valerie Jarrett after taking Ambien, the manufacturer of the drug saying racism is not a known side effect of any of their medications. Hours after the show was canceled, Barr tweeted apologies to the cast and crew. ABC President Ben Sherwood apologized to the staff, praising them in an internal memo, writing that he hopes to find another way to work together down the road.
Wow. I wish you could have heard the audience react to that piece and the applause for Ambien and its statement. Natalie Morales is with us now. Nat, any word on possible spinoffs? I mean, is that a possibility?
Yeah, Megyn, there is talk about that this morning. People saying that perhaps it would include John Goodman, as you saw, Sarah Gilbert, and Laurie Metcalf could possibly be in line for a spinoff, of course, a show without Roseanne. And the show is called Roseanne, so it would have to be something completely different, but perhaps using the same cast members in a different way. We'll have to see. Mindy Kaling did also say that she wanted to write for them. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, and there would be an audience, no question. Natalie, thank you.
Yeah.
So for more on this and other news making headlines today, please welcome NBC's Craig Melvin and Jacob Soboroff. They're both here together. Hi there. How's it going, Melvin? Welcome. Hi. All right, so let's just start with that. Do you think there'd be a market for a spinoff? Given how popular it was.
Have you seen some of the trash on TV? This show notwithstanding, of course. But yeah, no, I think there would obviously be a market.
People love the show. I mean, the question is it worth it at this point for ABC to bring it back? Is there a liability?
Or someone else. I have to say, John Goodman declining to comment, I respected that. To me, it's been a little awkward to watch some of her fellow castmates come out and very quickly go after her, even though the comments are abhorrent. Yeah. Just because she made them. You know, like, there's some actors on the show who you've never heard of them before, and now, like,
But I
like they don't need to. They don't need to prove that they're
why
not
they're
racist.
coming out, because they feel like, you know, they were minding their own business, and then all of a sudden they go on Twitter like, oh my God, here's my paycheck.
That's exactly
here's
right.
My
They're mad at her, you mean?
I would hope that if I said something terribly stupid or horribly racist, God forbid, one of my colleagues would call me out immediately, and you know, I would face the consequences as well.
See, I feel like why do they need to prove anything about themselves publicly? No one's saying that they're racist because Roseanne tweeted what she tweeted. And I feel like John Goodman and she have worked together for so long, and we as the audience have sort of admired their relationship, and, you know, we've been led to believe that they're friends, and I don't know, there's something about seeing that there would be about seeing him stick the knife in her that would make me feel like, oh God, I don't know. Jimmy Kimmel raising the mental health issues made me feel empathy for her.
Saying something racist is saying something racist. John Goodman, you know, as somebody who knows her well,
Jimmy Kimmel,
as somebody who knows her well, John Goodman, whoever knows her well, I think it's a position of responsibility to speak out. At least say what you know about her and say that it was a terrible thing to say.
And I don't know what her mental health issues are. You know, I don't know whether that's true. I'm not sure how well Jimmy Kimmel knows her or not.
You know, some years ago, I think it was 2011, she wrote that after the first season of the original Roseanne, because of some of the off-camera stuff, like she wrote herself that she'd had a nervous breakdown.
That's like 20 years ago, right? So we don't know whether she's well or not. I mean, the Twitter account would certainly suggest she's having some difficulties. Have to point out, you know, President Trump is upset about the double standard in the media, and, you know, this isn't about him, but you know how he makes everything about him, and so do his critics. But I do have to say, yesterday on TBS, Samantha Bee was going after Ivanka Trump, and the criticism that she made of Ivanka on her father's policies when it comes to separating children from their undocumented parents, fine, totally fair game. But she called Ivanka Trump a feckless C-word. And to me, it was so jarring. It was so jarring, and to me, hate is hate, and I think she should be condemned for it too. It's not to word police. It's just hate is hate is hate.
We talked about that yesterday.
Just yesterday, we're talking about how Bill Maher uses this word about women, and it's no better when a woman uses it about a woman.
Fair enough. I mean, of course, it's never constructive to call anybody the C word or any word that's in the ballpark of that type of language.
But will there be any backlash against her?
Look, she's a comedian and she said it on her show.
So's Roseanne.
Right, but she didn't say it. She didn't say in the I mean, she.
Do you think it's better to stay on Twitter than on your show? Well, like on your show, it seems worse.
Roseanne was not in the forum where she was presenting it as a joke. In retrospect, she goes back and says, "Actually, you know what? I was joking about it."
But she says she was joking. I realize it doesn't sound like a joke, but she says she was joking
after the fact.
But is it okay to call a woman a C word if you say it's a joke?
No, and I actually don't think that we need to compare the two because. Again, Roseanne went out and said this not in the context of making a joke. She went out and said it in the context of being an outspoken person on Twitter.
I think you're splitting hairs.
Well, beyond this,
they're both wrong.
Beyond
period.
This, I do feel like
I'm not saying they're not both wrong.
I do feel like we have created this culture in our country right now where just name calling in general is just you know, everyone's calling someone out, whether it's on Twitter or like we've just created this culture of ugh.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
And how do you rip on Trump for all of his sexist comments, which, you know, somebody raised at a debate a couple of years ago. And then just let it slide in a very, it's not like TBS is normal television, you know, like yesterday somebody's making the point it's HBO, right? But with Bill Maher, this is TBS. I just feel like to me, it was so jarring. And Samantha Bee undermined her own position because she could have made a valid criticism of Ivanka.
Without using the word.
Completely. And we would have been talking about the criticism as opposed to her language.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's fair. It's a horrible word. And when you call somebody it, you know, I don't know if you need to face the consequences of getting your show fired, but you should hear the backlash from Megyn Kelly.
So I agree with that. I feel like we're so quick to like boycott. And I mean, Roseanne's comment was in its own special league. There's just
but
no
it wasn't
question.
just, we're talking about that one comment, but she has a history.
A long history.
Yes.
Long history. Then we talked about the history, like why was this one a bridge too far? Because the other ones were, maybe yesterday's tweet by Roseanne was a 10, but she's been at the 9.5 range a lot. And it's been okay. But, you know, I feel like all of this is raising a real question about who we want to be as a society.
Yes.
And I'm a First Amendment person, so I don't like censorship of speech. I feel like the answer to speech you don't like is not less speech, it's more speech. But to me, it's telling about our society that these things haven't been deal breakers for so often. Like, why weren't Roseanne's prior tweets a problem for ABC or others?
But for a lot of people, they were a problem. I mean, a lot of people had taken issue with things that she had said and tweeted for years. It was just, you know, 2 days ago, that was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back for a variety of reasons. But I do think one of the things that I think has unfortunately started to happen is you have real outrage. Like when things happen now, there's legitimate outrage. And then you've got this this faux outrage. Like,
Faux
there's
outrage.
this constant outrage machine that we're all.
And you wake up saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to be outraged."
Yeah, well, yeah.
I am. I'll get it back.
So it's so because there's so much constantly coming at us, and it's just, everyone's saying crazy stuff all the time. It's hard to keep up.
It's disheartening, and I'll tell you, trying to raise 3 young kids in this environment and set an example for how we treat one another has never been more challenging. And we're back now with NBC's Craig Melvin and Jacob Soboroff. So Mary Kay Letourneau was a school teacher who, I mean, she would describe it as an affair. It was a child rape of her 12-year-old 6th grade student who she wound up getting impregnated by, and ultimately when she got out of prison years later, got married to.
Yeah.
Now A&E's got a documentary on them, and here's a little soundbite from Mary Kay today.
He was her student in the 6th grade.
It's not how it's portrayed, 6th grade, in the media. When anything developed in our relationship, he was entering the 8th grade, age-wise.
When the boy was 13, the relationship turned sexual.
Sounds young. I get it. Was young. I get it.
Mary Kay, Earth to Mary Kay. Over here, sweetheart. No one cares whether it was 6th grade or 8th grade. It just shows you her mindset, this person's mindset. Still.
I was 14 when he was 12, and I thought it was creepy as hell then, and it's twisted and perverted still today.
Yes.
But why is there a documentary? Like, why? Like,
Because we're fascinated with crime, with stories of, like this, of just human immorality. Right?
It's disgusting. And I don't know. I mean, it seems like, are we celebrating it? Are we using it as a cautionary tale?
It's voyeurism.
And is she profiting from this?
I don't know.
I mean, that's...
It's voyeurism, and one does wonder whether A&E would be doing the special if it were a man, with a
Right.
12 or 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, no, fair
Right.
point.
Right? By the way, they're now, they were separated. They got separated about a year ago, but now it's unclear what the status of their marriage. They were reconciled, but anyway, they've had 2 daughters. Now she's 56, he's 34, and her defense in this documentary is, wait for it, he was no longer her student when they began this relationship, and she has said all along and says in this documentary, he was the one who pursued me. Can you believe this is still even being said? Right? I mean, even... Okay.
I don't think I'll be DVRing this,
No.
this special.
No. Okay, I have to ask you guys. I don't want to say it's a growing trend in America, but more and more men are choosing to take their wives' last names.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Okay.
94% of men in the country, or of women in the country who get married, take the husband's name. 94% do. Yeah. And over 1/2 of the Americans surveyed said they believe it should be mandatory. It should be mandatory for the woman to take the man's last name. Like, she shouldn't even be able to keep her own. Yeah, only over 1/2 of Americans feel that way. But now some men are saying, you know what? I like my wife's name better. Or my name was too common and hers was more unique. Or I don't like patriarchy. That was the quote from one of these guys. So would you ever do it?
Jacob, would you ever do it?
My wife did not take my name, but Soboroff is kind of a clunky name. Sometimes it's Soboroff, Soboroff. So maybe I will do it. It's not a bad idea.
My wife, she took my name for, government purposes, but she still uses her maiden name professionally. Her last name's Zarniak, so there was no chance that I was taking that name.
Why not? I like that. Anything with a Z is cool.
Well, that's the thing. It starts with a C. The C is silent.
Oh, then it gets confusing.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So
I don't know. Doug and I had this debate because I kept my name.
That surprises me.
Well, I actually was married once before, and I took my first husband's name, and then I got a divorce, and I really wanted to go back to my name. My maiden name. Kelly is my maiden name.
Okay.
And I really wanted that, and then when I married Doug, I was like, you know what? I kind of regretted changing my name the first time, and this is my name. It's the name I grew up with. It's my name. I didn't want to change it. And with all due respect to my husband and my own children who have the last name of my husband, which is Brunt, Kelly is better.
Wow. Would Doug do it? Did you talk to Doug about it?
Doug would never do it.
Never do it.
Never. You guys, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.